Marcus Mitchell quietly moved his cleaning cart along the lengthy hallway of the office building. The floors gleamed, spotless and shining, just like the rest of the place. But Marcus kept working. He moved slowly and carefully, wiping the windows and sweeping the floors. To those around him, he was practically invisible, just another janitor doing his job. But what no one realized was that Marcus wasn't any ordinary janitor. He was, in fact, the CEO of the entire company. He didn't dress in a fancy suit or spend his days behind a big desk because he preferred to observe how things functioned when no one suspected he was watching. Marcus wanted to see how his employees treated others, especially those who weren't in powerful roles. That's why he stayed unnoticed, quietly observing the people around him. Today, however, Marcus had his focus on one person in particular, Mr. Davis, the office manager. Mr. Davis, a man in his early 40s, strode briskly through the hallways, barking orders at anyone who happened to cross his path. Always in a rush, he barely acknowledged the janitorial staff, and when he did, it was never with kindness. Marcus noticed Mr. Davis approaching. Without even slowing down, Mr. Davis snapped, "Hey, move that cart out of the way. Some of us have real work to do." His voice was sharp, impatient, and dismissive. Without waiting for a response, he brushed past Marcus, barely sparing him a glance. Marcus quietly moved his cart aside and continued working. But he was paying attention. This wasn't the first time he'd witnessed Mr. Davis's behavior. The office manager had a reputation for treating anyone he deemed beneath him with little to no respect. To him, the janitorial staff existed only to keep the place clean. They didn't matter. Marcus, however, knew better. This attitude was exactly why he chose to work undercover as a janitor. He wanted to see how individuals like Mr. Davis treated people when they thought no one important was watching. As Marcus resumed his tasks, he kept an eye on Mr. Davis. The office manager strutted through the workplace, giving orders and looking down on those around him. His demeanor clearly showed that he believed his position made him superior to everyone else. Marcus knew this mindset was a problem. A good leader never treated others this way. The day progressed, and Mr. Davis continued to reveal his true colors. Each time he passed Marcus, his comments grew more disrespectful. "Haven't you finished this hallway yet?" he barked, barely slowing his stride. "How hard can it be to clean a few floors?" Marcus didn't respond, simply nodding and continuing to mop the floor. On the outside, he was calm, but inside, he was taking careful note of every action and word. He wasn't just observing Mr. Davis's behavior toward him. He was watching how he treated everyone in lower positions. The tension between the two grew with each passing encounter. To Mr. Davis, Marcus was nothing more than a worker, invisible and insignificant. But to Marcus, every word and action was building a clearer picture of the kind of leader Mr. Davis truly was. Later in the day, as Marcus cleaned near the break room, Mr. Davis approached again, this time followed by a group of employees. Without warning, he stopped in front of Marcus, his eyes narrowing. "Are you still here?" he asked loudly, ensuring everyone nearby could hear. "It's been hours, and you're still cleaning the same spot. Do you even know what you're doing?" A few employees exchanged uneasy glances, but no one spoke up. They were used to Mr. Davis's harshness, but seeing him single out Marcus made them uncomfortable. Marcus calmly wiped his hands on a cleaning rag and turned to face Mr. Davis. "I'm just doing my job," he said, his voice steady and even. Mr. Davis let out a mocking laugh. "Your job? Well, it doesn't look like you're very good at it. Maybe we should find someone faster, or maybe we don't need you at all." He turned to the employees behind him, smirking. "What do you think? Should we keep paying someone who can't even clean a floor properly?" The employees shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact with Marcus. Though they didn't agree with Mr. Davis, none of them dared to challenge him. Marcus felt the humiliation rise within him, but refused to let it show. He turned back to his work, quietly mopping the floor as though nothing had happened. Yet inside, he knew things were escalating. Mr. Davis's behavior had crossed a line, and it wouldn't be long before he would have to face the consequences. As the afternoon wore on, The office settled into its usual rhythm, with employees typing away at their desks or holding meetings. But Mr. Davis hadn't forgotten Marcus. Each time he saw him, his attitude grew more hostile. While Marcus cleaned near the CEO's office, Mr. Davis stormed over, his face red with anger. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice echoing through the hallway. "This area is for important people, not for someone who spends their day pushing a mop." Marcus stayed calm, his movements deliberate as he cleaned the glass. "I'm just doing my job," he replied quietly but firmly. Mr. Davis stepped closer, pointing a finger at Marcus. "Your job," he scoffed. "Your job is to stay out of the way and not bother the people who actually make this company run. You've been here all day, dragging your feet. And now you think you belong near the CEO's office? You're lucky to even have a job here." The hallway grew silent as nearby employees paused, their eyes on the unfolding scene. Though no one dared to intervene, the tension was palpable. Without warning, Mr. Davis grabbed Marcus's cleaning cart and shoved it aside, spilling supplies onto the floor. "Get out," he shouted. "You don't belong here. This place is too good for someone like you." At that moment, Miss Rivera, another manager, stepped into the hallway. Her eyes widened in shock at what she was witnessing. Though she'd always known Mr. Davis to be tough, this level of cruelty was beyond anything she'd seen before. Miss Rivera froze, watching Marcus silently pick up the spilled supplies, his face calm and expressionless. But a thought crossed her mind. Could Marcus be more than he appeared? She'd heard whispers about the CEO's unique approach to management. Could it be true? As Mr. Davis continued his tirade, completely unaware of his mistake, Marcus knew it was time for the truth to come out.